Oh, we got some questions and some viewers.
Ooh, cool. That's what I was looking for. Shake some of the sand out from in between my ears.
Yeah, great show. Welcome to Real Talk with Keith Smith, guys. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. A special edition of Real Talk with Keith Smith. The show traditionally airs on its scheduled programming slot Fridays at 10:15 a.m. Today, we make a special exception for a man who needs no introduction, Keith Smith, the distinguished gentleman who is fresh from the Caribbean, 5 weeks on island time with his beautiful bride, Yonna Smith. He returns to the saddle here in Charlottesville, Albemarle County in Central Virginia, into a real estate market that is dynamic and somewhat unpredictable, depending on who you chat with. And goodness gracious, we have associate brokers, realtors, and lenders coming through this office and this building to the tune of half a dozen or a dozen per week. And I asked the same question of each of them. What are your predictions for 2026? And goodness gracious, these guys and gals are torn on their expectations. Some folks see a positive market with rates continuing to fall. Some folks are bearish on expectations for 2026 as down payment requirements and valuations and the supply chain of costs tied to taxes and insurance creating an impediment for purchase, especially for the first-time home buyer. We'll talk about that with Keith Smith on the program today. Judah Wickhauer is behind the camera. My name is Jerry Miller, and I have a lot of questions myself I want to talk with Keith Smith about. But first, I say good Monday morning. Keith, how you doing?
Good Monday morning to you. Just trying to get back in the saddle again and move on. We were gone for 5 weeks. We worked for about the first 3 weeks, and then after that, we were blessed enough to have grandkids and kids come in to spend the holidays. So that was a lot of fun. I'm interested to hear the feedback from you, from the other realtors and brokers that you've been talking to, because this dynamic of two different groups seeing the market two different ways is rather interesting. But I just want to start off with some big picture stuff. As we know, what we do on here on Real Talk with Keith Smith is we try to get the numbers out before everybody else does.
You do a good job of that.
Folks can go ahead and talk about it. So the interesting stat that folks are going to want to take a look at was this is the first year since 2021 that we've had a positive increase in the volume of sales. We're up about 4.6%. Let's call it 5% if we're averaging up a little bit. Last year was around 4% down. The year before that was negative 18% down. And the year before that was negative 18% down. So why I think having an uptick in sales volume is so important is it's kind of shown that this pendulum is starting to swing, and I think the market is starting to stabilize. I know if you look at the aggregate number, right, of the percent 18, 18, and 5, that's just an aggregate huge loss in volume of sales year over year. The interesting thing was in the car footprint, there was on the average price, we went up 4%, 4.1%, but we're going to be flat on the median. And somebody who's really smart is going to ask me why I think that is.
Why are we flat on the median, Keith Smith?
Because when I took a deeper dive into it, in 2005, we've had a larger sale of million-plus homes. So the volume of homes that sold at the $1 million plus was exceeded considerably. 2024, what has happened is, that, as you know, with the median, that's kind of what happens in the middle. So what really happened 24 to 2025 to keep that median flat is 1 million and over. We had a substantial increase. We also had an increase in some of the lower end stuff. In the middle end stayed flat, and you're going to be looking at a 485 median sales price when
for the car footprint.
For the car footprint. So, to your point about constricting the middle and constricting the the affordable housing or the housing affordability, this middle range, which is a large volume of the sales, has been relatively flat. But we're up a total of almost 5%. So, that's the big overall picture of the car footprint. I've got individual jurisdictions if anybody's interested.
And he's posted them on his Keith Smith personal Facebook page.
I did.
Albemarle County, the flag carrier without question for the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors footprint. 1,541 units sold in 2024, 1,504 units sold in 2025. So a minuscule delta still down in Albemarle County of 37 units, 1,541 versus 1,504 in the and ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 versus 2025 range. The median price, the average price in Albemarle County is up 7.7%. Now it's $700K. The average price in Albemarle County, and then the median $538,000. Albemarle County continues to chug along, Keith Smith.
So Albemarle County is the transaction engine. Is the dollar engine that's kind of driving all this stuff. And what I did, thanks to Uncle ChatGPT 5.2, is I have created spreadsheets from 2016 to now. So I took all the car data, created these spreadsheets on locations, counties, what it's sold, and dumped it all into it. And it's one of the beautiful things about that. It can take all this data and crunch it down a little bit. We'll find out what I'm working on with that data is an overall white paper that I'm going to do a link to my Facebook page. Plus, I'm going to send it out to all the elected officials to kind of take a look at it a little bit. The interesting thing is we've been talking about this on the show for a while is the median price drop in Charlottesville, right? So I thought it was going to be around 5. I was off. It's going to end up at 4, right? So the average went up just a tad, right? The sales stayed pretty flat, 402, 403. We'll call that flat. So we didn't go up and we didn't go down, but the median dropped. And this goes back to this $1 million and up sale difference. There was about 25, and it's not a big number, but when you're looking at 400 transactions, there was 25 to 26 more million plus transactions in 2025 than 2024, which skewed the median number down. So the Charlottesville market's not imploding. It's interesting. There's more high dollar transactions happening, which is not what I expected to see, to be honest with you. I expected to see something different. So that's why that middle kind of softened and why it's the only jurisdiction when you take a look at the numbers in 25 on the median side actually went down. All the other jurisdictions had some sort of gain at the medium level.
Viewers and listeners, let us know your thoughts. Put them in the feed. We'll relay them live on air. Agents watching the program left and right. Lee McLaughlin watching the program, formerly of Wiley Partners, now of Cochran Wiley, as Barbara Cochran's franchise gets penetration here in Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia. That's big time news. Cochran Wiley, the new firm, as the legacy company, Wiley Real Estate Partners, co-brands with Barbara Cochran's firm to create a new entity in real estate. Comments continuing to come in. I'm going to mention those live on air. I have some questions myself that I want to get to first. What is your prediction for 2026, Keith? And I'm going to compare and contrast it with what I'm hearing from your colleagues that come into this studio on the regular, this office on the regular.
Yeah, so I think you're going to see more of the same, right?
Okay.
I think you're going to see sales trending, overall car footprint, right? So micro markets matter. We've been talking about that for years. I think overall car footprint, you're going to see the number of sales increase. It's probably going to be reasonable, a low number, somewhere between 3% and 6%. I think you're going to see the trend move forward where the higher dollar number homes are going to continue to trade maybe on an up-tempo level, And there's a reality here where we might end up seeing a median being flat again for a third year in a row. The question becomes, which you're going to ask, what happens if interest rates go below 6%? What happens if whatever Trump is talking about doing, about selling, was it $200 billion? I can't remember the number. $200 billion of that. Logic will tell you, well, maybe we'll have a repeat of the unicorn years. I think the answer to that is no.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
I don't think that's going to happen. The values have shifted entirely too much for that.
And when you take a look at all these numbers, and you take a look at all these transactions, and you take a look at the jurisdictions that, in my opinion, performed better, was usually the ones that had an influx of these additional units, these additional new construction units, just Fluvanna and Green, and we'll look at the numbers here in a minute on that. And you saw more of a stabilization, increase in sales tremendously. In Fluvanna County, new construction in attached, there was a 2,000% increase. Now that went from 2 to 40 something, right? But you'll start, again, we've been talking about this for a while. The high dollar markets, I think, are going to continue to perform well. The jurisdictions that have a little bit more new construction going in it will perform overall well. I think the rest of the jurisdictions are going to stay somewhat flat. I think you're going to see Nelson and Louisa stay kind of flat. You'll have a little bit of an increase. Values will increase a little bit. But in Fluvanna, until you run out of new construction, which is happening very quickly there, then it'll end up performing like the rest of the counties. Again, we've been talking about this for a while. Greene County is the one that you absolutely got to watch.
Michael Guthrie, welcome to the broadcast. We appreciate you watching. Ryder Starnstrand, welcome to the broadcast. You have Logan Wells Claylo on the broadcast. I'm seeing Nest, Real Estate 3, Long and Foster, Loring Woodruff, partners from all those firms on the show right now. Christopher Ketchum, welcome to the broadcast. Rob Neal, James Watson, Georgia Gilmer, Carol Thorpe, Jason Howard, all on the show right now.
So just before you ask the question,
a
more succinct answer. I think you're going to see more of a stabilized market where days on market is going to hit kind of the norms where it's going to be. Prices will increase in areas the micro areas that work, right? And the rest of them, I think, are going to stay somewhat stable.
The conversation this morning with an established broker of uncertainty what 2026 is going to bring. A drop in real estate agents in the market, which is obvious and tangible and predicted.
They're predicting nationwide about 250,000.
And we're seeing that in the car area, a drop of realtors.
I think what you're seeing in that is, I think the average age is 57 or something like this, if I remember the number correctly. So you're going to see a lot of people rotate out from a retirement perspective on it, or at the very minimum, they'll stay in it and do very little bit of business just to stay active. And I think, the people that came in the unicorn years, that
it's going to be tough sledding. It's going to be a very different period.
If you don't have an established database of people or a network, because that's how you survive in this business, and if you don't adapt quickly, we've been talking about this on the show. It's this weird buyer's market that nobody's ever seen before, right? Some locations are sellers, some locations are buyer's markets, some homes are in the seller's component, and some homes are in the buyer's component. If you can't adapt to that and used to working a certain way, it's going to be very difficult for you to do business.
The luxury category of real estate in the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors footprint is on absolute fire right now.
So you have to. So we need to redefine that.
I think
number.
Luxury is now defined as at bottom probably $1.5 million and up.
I agree 100%.
And $1.5 million, if you're tracking, this category of units, in particular certain pockets of Albemarle County, this pocket of inventory or this silo of inventory, this category of inventory in Albemarle County at $1.5 million and up is red hot. Cash offers, multiple offer scenarios, DMs that are short, and in certain pockets in particular, you're seeing above ask and bidding wars happen. That is one that is absolutely scintillating right now, Keith Smith.
Yes, and it's rather interesting that we're having a conversation that $1 million isn't luxury any longer, $1.5 million, and
Not around here.
Well, it's what the data is telling us, right? And it's why this median number is staying flat, is because the upper end is outperforming the middle and the lower end, which is kind of skewing the numbers at the end of it.
Because that buyer has dry powder on hand. And when that buyer has dry powder on hand, interest rates, insurance costs, remodeling costs, roofing costs, macroeconomic headwinds are not impacting that purchaser like they are doing the non-jumbo loan buyer.
And of course we talk about this, you and I, until we're tan.
Which is every day for me.
Yeah, it's just a struggle for how do you manage this median? How do you manage this middle income? And the fact that we're at a $485,000 median sales price, that's a big number, right? That's a big number for a lot of people to manage and to buy into. So I haven't run the numbers, but it looks like we're still holding about 30 to 33% of the transactions are cash. Nationwide, they're dropping somewhere around 25, so we're going to outperform the nation as far as cash transactions. But I posted something. We did the United Van Lines thing, and you're starting to see these income shifts and location shifts and inboards and outboards. It's a very interesting study if you have an opportunity to take a look at it. But I just wanted my friend ChatGPT. I wanted to do a quick look at new construction in Albemarle County, and it's interesting. 2024. Detached new construction, there was 149 transactions. We'll call the median sales price was $849, and the number was down. So in 2025, that number was down to 138, and the median sale price was $941. So the sales were down a little bit, but that number jumped a little bit. That 941 median is awfully close to that 1 million mark, right? And that's just kind of proof that this market is, this 1 million and up is really impacting the overall numbers when you take.
And it's important to emphasize the buyer that's moving into the market is a well-heeled buyer. And that trend is only going to gain momentum. We are in the calm before the storm of what biotechnology is going to do to Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia. AstraZeneca, $4.5 billion into northern Albemarle County. 600 hires tied to the $4.5 billion global headquarters of AstraZeneca in northern Albemarle County. Those 600 employees, 600 potential buyers, an average wage of $125,000 per employee, and that does not include if their partners or significant others have jobs as well. 600 people in this area in the next probably 20 to 24, 28 months, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, again, it's only echoing the conversation we're having. The 1 million and up market is just going to grow and put lots of pressure on it. The struggle here is, all right, if we have X number of people coming in here and X number of people wanting $1 million and up homes, just to pick a number, and we're not producing enough units, what does that do to the median push, right? Because they ultimately need some place to live, right? So what more than likely is going to happen is you're going to start seeing that number of buyers put a lot of pressure on the median level price just to buy a house, right? Just to buy the house and move in, because people are moving here. There's no way the market, through all the red tape that we talk about all the time, is going to be able to produce enough homes to do that. And the homes that are coming up in Greene County, this 1,500, 2,000, depending on how you talk to, they're not at that price point, right? They're at more of the medium price point because that's what the developers and builders are producing to meet this median demand into this demand into that. So I'm really curious what the numbers are going to talk about because they're coming soon. I mean, they're there. They're in the middle of building this facility, right? They're doing the site work on it. What push that's going to put in our marketplace?
Ben Prochi,
that's my uncle,
is watching your program. Your uncle. And he says, you guys have to explain why the 1.5 market is super red hot. What's happening here? That's what we're doing here, Ben.
Yeah. So what's happening here is what we're talking about. The 1.5 million is that's kind of now the beginning of the luxury market, right? So it used to be 4 or 5 years ago, the beginning of the luxury market didn't quite have a 1 in front of it. It was in
right before COVID.
Right before COVID. Then all of a sudden it became 1, and now we're having a conversation that luxury is 1.5 and up. And as these 250, double income, $500,000, $600,000 a year buyers are starting to come in for this pharmaceutical and other in it. It's only going to move that needle higher.
And Intel, which we've been sworn to secrecy on, okay, we've predicted the biotechnology impact from day one. Some people ask, how have you predicted the biotechnology impact from day one? Well, we're literally at the table with the people that are making the donation check to fund the biotechnology school from scratch. And at that table, when that check was being struck, the prediction was 6,000 to 8,000 of incremental residents moving to the area because of the biotechnology economic supply chain. The major announcement.
Sorry, go ahead.
The major announcement already was AstraZeneca and $4.5 billion, 600 employees at $125,000 average salary, those 600 employees, plus 3,000 indirect employees. I know for certain, not my news to break, I've been given the information, and if my word is my bond, that another major announcement is on the very near horizon with biotechnology in this area and incremental citizenship impact in Albemarle County specifically.
The question is, yes, and I've heard some of the same scuttlebutt.
Mine's not scuttlebutt. Mine's fact.
Yeah.
Mine is far from scuttlebutt. Yeah.
Good for you. But I've heard similar things, and it's not just Albemarle County, by the way. Right? There's other jurisdictions that are starting to increase some of these high dollar stuff. All the data centers coming. It's not huge employment numbers. It's not huge 600 employees or plus, but it's just, it begs the question, and you're just asking the question for the exact reason I'm working on this white paper, looking at what the market has done from 2016 to 2025 to help move forward in it. The question becomes, I'm going to use good English, are the local jurisdictions preparing themselves for this? And these are all my close friends. I know them well. We have great working relationships on it. A brother from another mother, yesterday was his birthday, mine and I, in Juan Diego. So congratulations on his mayorship again on it. The answer is no. And the reason the answer is no, it's not that they don't understand it. It's not that they don't want to make a difference. The difference is they're not in the business, right? For the most part. And they, staff looks at things a little bit differently than the market does. But the market is going to drive this one way or the other. And if the counties and the city don't stay in front of this and come up with solutions for it. I think I heard, it was on one of your posts about the ADUs, and I can get into that, and I can give you specific details because I worked on it nationwide. There's just going to be a tremendous amount of pressure, and at some point, it's going to be like that champagne cork. It's going to pop, and I don't know what it's going to look like when that happens.
Our network is making an effort in 2026 to publish even more news on our platform as we become the source of the source for anything news related in Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia. That includes talk shows, Facebook and Instagram lives, and other news items that come across our desks. The ADU one in particular, Albemarle County, Ned Galloway, the chair of the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, Fred Missel, the vice chair. Albemarle County's got a boatload on their plate, the supervisors. A new high school, how to fund a potential new high school in northern Albemarle County, the development area, whether or not to expand it from its 5% or not, and how to prioritize infrastructure while limiting taxable overhead with owners, homeowners, and tenants in Albemarle County. So not an easy job, Galloway and his supervisors, but congratulations.
Congratulations to him.
On his third term, and now
his
the chair.
His second run as chair.
Yeah, as Albemarle County supervisor.
Do you want to get into the ADU conversation? Or
Happily.
Save that for
Happily.
Another day?
Because I believe Friday you have Scott Morris and John Ralston.
Thank you. I've got Scott Morris and John Ralston coming in because I've asked Scott to look at this from a mortgage perspective. If interest rates go down, how does it impact from his perspective? And I also got John coming in, who's an attorney.
Fantastic attorney.
To start looking at things from his perspective on the transactional side of things.
Yonna Smith, Kevin Yancey, Dan Pennant watching the program. Viewers and listeners of all shapes and sizes on the feed right now.
Yonna, feel better.
We love you, Yonna Smith. Welcome back.
She is.
Michael Pruitt, welcome to the broadcast.
Fighting.
Meg Bryce, welcome to the broadcast. Richard Fox.
So let's set the stage for the ADU conversation, right? So I'll let you set the stage. I read your post, but if you can set the stage on what Albemarle County is thinking about with ADU. So let's define ADU. It means two different things. It means different things to different people. Certain people, ADU means auxiliary dwelling unit, which is, I think, what we're going to talk about. Other folks, it means the affordable dwelling unit. So we got to be careful when we throw around these acronyms, what they mean. So in the context of this conversation, ADUs is an auxiliary dwelling unit. If you want to set the stage, and
I mean, I don't think I'm surprised with the traction this story got on the I Love CVille Network. There is a nationwide housing shortage, as everyone knows. Accessory dwelling units, auxiliary dwelling units. Some folks consider part of the solution. I would imagine Keith's going to utilize the ADU as the silver buckshot. It's not a silver bullet, but it's part of a silver buckshot solution
I'm actually going to take a different perspective
to help Albemarle County navigate some red tape as it applies to housing. The reality is this: we have a custom home builder who's a client, a very noteworthy and established custom home builder who's a client, who is on right now on a client's home, building or a client's piece of property, building a 1,000 square foot, very small, 1,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And that 1,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath that's being built right now comes at a price tag of over $400 a foot.
Bingo.
Over $400 a foot.
Bingo.
So anyone who thinks and is pushing this narrative that an ADU is going to help navigate affordability, I call BS. Because at over $400 a foot, you're talking $400,000 to build a 1,000 square foot house. And in some scenarios, we're talking builder grade type of finishes. And it's still north of $400,000. Someone is going to have to navigate the debt service associated with that project. And the debt service associated with that project is monthly rent or some kind of leasing environment that's in the $3,500 to $4,000 range, which is equivalent to a mortgage.
So I have quite intimate knowledge and understanding of this since 2016, when the city of Charlottesville sent me and a couple other folks out to be part of a national cohort put on by Portland State University and ultimately by the University of Washington to look at using ADUs, auxiliary dwelling units, to do this. It's very interesting. They paid for a year to go do this and never asked for a report, by the way.
Yep.
Never asked for a report. So they have no idea what it is. So we're going to give a brief report right now of all that stuff. I stayed engaged with that on my own expense from that point all the way into now. So I'm very intimately involved with the ADU. And it's going to come down to exactly what you just said. You can tweak the ordinances to allow it happen because it's very difficult in Albemarle County right now to do an auxiliary dwelling unit. Not so much in Fluvanna County. It's actually pretty easy to go ahead and do it and get it passed. The problem is the cost. And very quickly, when we started looking at this in 2016 to go ahead and do this, the cost, and as a group, we looked at, okay, do we do predetermined set of plans, right? Get them pre-approved. Do we go ahead and work with shipping containers? Do we work with prefabricated? Do we work with modulars and all that stuff? And no matter what path you took, and I could have told them that from day one when we started this, the cost per square foot is off the charts.
It's off the charts.
Off the charts. And people ask, well, why? Well, if a 1,000 square foot or a 500 square foot or a 750 square foot auxiliary dwelling would cost the same per square foot than a 3,000 square foot house, what's the problem? Well, the problem is you're still doing foundations, you're still doing bathrooms, you're still doing this. But the real struggle with ADUs, particularly in an urban environment, is how the hell do you get them there? It is difficult.
Oh, I don't think the ADU is going to have an impact in Charlottesville City in the least bit.
I'm
Albemarle County could have potentially an impact.
Not in the urban ring, it won't.
I mean, I respectfully push back on that because I think the lot sizes are bigger. The opportunity to have ease of building is a little bit easier than the city. This is my biggest issue. This client that I talked about literally on Friday, the custom home builder, 400 plus per square foot for a 1,000 square foot home built on land. That doesn't even include land acquisition. That does not even include the dirt.
So I'll tell you how it works in Seattle and in Portland, and the only way it works
is for some kind of tax incentive or rebate.
Huge.
Yeah, that's how it has to happen.
Huge.
And Charlottesville and Albemarle County are not set up to do that.
Huge tax incentives.
Yeah.
Where if you're looking to use that for an affordable housing fix, the only way that'll work is huge tax incentives. I also helped create a program in Seattle and Portland where they actually use the land trust to go do it, but it's all tied to tax incentives to that. Now, keep in mind, we're not talking $5,000 or $10,000 a year in tax returns, property taxes. We're talking $25,000, $35,000, like New York tax property taxes. So when you start getting serious, 3/4 of that abated, right, it becomes real numbers.
And that'll never happen in Charlottesville or Albemarle County.
The math will never work.
And it'll never happen. Neil Williamson, HOA restrictions are a huge challenge to ADUs.
100%.
He's 100% right.
100%.
The ADU solution, or this myth of an ADU solution, the only
So here's what's going to happen.
family that's going to benefit from this are well-heeled and wealthy families.
And they have plenty, and it's not in an HOA,
Yeah.
and they have plenty of property to go into.
Exactly right.
And they don't care if they can either turn it into an Airbnb or not. They don't care if it rents or not.
They don't care if it rents or not.
It just sits there. It's
Yeah.
a great place where the grandkids can
That's
come
right.
and hang out.
Grandkids,
and
mother-in-law,
do all that
in-law suite.
I've been actively involved from 2016. There's never been a real window where the auxiliary dwelling unit helped, other than these huge tax incentives that go on for like 10 years. And if you sell them, you're penalized and yada, yada, yada. But that's the only way that, and the local jurisdictions have to invest in that. And it's going to be much like the new zoning ordinance in Charlottesville. It's a great idea. It's just not going to produce a lot. I'll tell you, the best path forward is one that Neil is pushing, right? It's a low-hanging fruit.
The office, the commercial conversion.
100%. It's an easy thing to do. Will it produce a lot? Probably not, but it's at least a buckshot in the silver buckshot. It's an opportunity. The brain damage it's going to take for them to come up with a real workable ADU program and ultimately not result in anything is not worth the energy. It's worth the energy, in my opinion, to go ahead and just this is a quick, easy zoning text amendment. The units are there, the infrastructure's there, right? The water's there, the sewer's there, the roads systems were set up. In jurisdictions that can do that, it's been working. It's actually been making a difference. So I promote his plan to go and do that, and I would encourage Ned and his team to take a look at that.
Neil Williamson is watching the program. Juan Sarmiento watching the program. Print, radio, and television on the broadcasts, as they always are with the I Love CVille Network. As someone who owns a lion's share of a commercial building on Market Street in downtown Charlottesville, I have personally had engineers and architects walk this building about the upside of potentially pivoting plans with our holding in this building, our holdings in this building, and a potential sale of our holdings here,
Sure.
and say, these are the plans that what you could do.
Sure.
I'm not going to do it myself.
Sure.
Here are the plans to help increase the value of my holdings, and the number that is
Yeah. So
ridiculously expensive to convert what I have here into residential.
So an example of that would be the abandoned hotel that nobody seems to talk about any longer, right? That can never be converted into residential. One, it's been sitting too long. I think structurally it's unsound. I don't care what anybody says on it. You know, it's been exposed to the elements, and it's a tension steel and concrete. It's ultimately the steel is going to get eaten up at some point. But you can't do that because the ceiling heights aren't high enough, right? You can't convert that into apartments or into condos. Now you got the whole legal reason why and all that kind of great stuff. But you're 100% right. But that said, Jerry, there are some, parcels of land that, you could tear the existing structure down and redevelop it.
Yeah, you could consider doing that.
And go and do that. And that is potentially where the math pencils out. But if you and I are going to go and pick a parcel that might work in it, that meets that criteria in Albemarle County, and have to go rezone it, I can assure you, looking at your face, the people in development building world are not going to go through that brain damage.
Yeah.
They're going to go and seek Greene County out, or seek some of the jurisdictions out that are a little bit more understanding, let's say, or forgiving, or willing to turn red tape into green tape. If Albemarle County addresses this low-hanging fruit, that dynamic changes, right? It becomes now a by right, and then it becomes just a typical site plan.
And trust me, I'm all for property owners' rights. I'm all for flexibility and options with the real estate you own. I'm all for commercial owners having the opportunity to convert their commercial holdings into residential if the market suggests there's a demand for it. I want that to happen. I think Neil Williamson has a great idea. I just think that the impact of this concept is not a ton, and the cost to bring commercial to residential to market is going to be astronomical.
It's going to be limited properties will be able to do that, but it is a micro step in the right direction. We are not Richmond. We are not Scott's Addition, where there was a plethora of
warehouse space.
I've been studying that word for 5 weeks. A
Very
plethora
nice. Yeah.
of abandoned, in some cases, industrial complexes.
Right.
They leveled. I mean, I was there for my birthday yesterday to check in with the grandkids, and they're just tearing buildings down left and right and building new structures. We don't have that here, right? We don't have that huge section of it, but there's enough of it that I think could make a difference. I think more of it shows that the county's is looking to go in the right direction. I can tell you, if ADUs, though in concept's a good idea, auxiliary dwelling units, it's not going to impact anything.
Yeah, I mean, the best bet for potentially increasing the supply of housing locally is the 5% expanded development area. And with Ned Galloway, Fred Missel, with Sally Duncan and Mike Pruitt on the Albemarle County Board, you seem to have 4 people there that are open-minded to expanding the 5% development area.
I can tell you this, they're at least open to the discussion.
Yeah, this is the first time I've been here nearly 26 years that I've seen a board that's open-minded to this.
And they may reportion it, right? That's a possibility, is to kind of move the geometric shape around. a little bit. Again, once you take a harder, I know they've done studies, but you and I are in the trenches. When you take a look at what's available, there's not a lot available left in the 5%.
Yeah,
right?
no.
That you can actually do something.
Topography-wise, what's left has been utilized in the 5%. Now, Diantha McKeel makes the argument, until the commercial is at a saturation point, why would I do this? Now, Diantha McKeel is no longer on the board, and she's been replaced by Sally Duncan, who is way more housing forward in thinking than McKeel was.
And I hear that. And Diantha's a dear friend, and she did an awesome job, and kudos to her, and thank you for her service. But we spent a few minutes on this show talking about what's coming. It sounds like a lot of business is already coming. The question becomes where the heck they're going to live.
Well, the businesses that are coming are able to compensate their employees in capacities that allow them to take housing for people that are already living here.
And what is
it's the local that's going to get screwed.
And what that's going to do is push people out to Greene County. That's why Greene County is on fire and will continue to be on fire. And that's why, studying micro markets, even though we can look at the big picture from the car footprint, studying micro markets matter. And I know you got a 12:30.
We're okay on time. Friday's show, Scott Morris, a lender, John Ralston, an attorney who does a lot of closings and real estate work. I've utilized Ralston for deals that I've personally done, along with client brokerage deals that I've been a part of on one side or the other. He's fantastic. That's at 10:15 a.m. on Friday as we return Real Talk with Keith Smith to its regularly scheduled programming slot. Fridays at 10:15 a.m. The interest rate conversation needs to happen.
I'm interested in having that. I'm excited about that conversation.
I think the interest rate conversation is something that is flying below the radar, because high fives to sub fives interest rate environment, mid fives interest rate environment, I don't think it's going to go below 5, but a mid 5 to high 5s interest rate environment is going to make a landscape that's already competitive potentially even more competitive.
So a tease for Friday, I've got some national numbers, not from NAR, but actually from Buffini and Company. I've been working with them when we've been gone on what they project nationally. If it drops to the magic number of, just as a tease, is 5.8.
Yep. And we're pretty damn close to that.
5.8 is the magic number, right? But I do want to be clear out there. If it drops to 5.8, it's not going to be the unicorn years. It's just going to up tempo things a little bit, but you're not going to be going the world of multiple offers, even though some of those are happening for the right property in the right location in the right condition, right? Those are still happening, right? But for the most part, it's kind of back to what I would consider a normal tempo and a normal performing market. It'll just make it a little bit easier. It'll also what I want to talk to Scott about, right? So if I'm buying a $485,000 home that's median, and we're at 6.2 or 6.5 or whatever it was 2 weeks ago, and now I'm down to 5.8, how much more house can I buy? That is a dynamic.
I mean, that's probably going to be like $150 to $200 a month in savings.
But
what
is that?
It's going to help folks from a qualifying standpoint.
What does
perhaps.
What does that translate into purchase ability? And and I don't disagree with you. I think you need to be somewhere around a half a point to a 3/4 of a point difference to really make a difference on it. But I think it's going to be impactful. I think, for whatever reason, people are still waiting for interest rates to drop to jump in. I mean, literally, I spent 5 weeks talking to everybody around the world, literally, and everybody seems to be, well, when the interest rates drop, I'm going to jump in. And I was like, okay, got it. You and everybody else is going to jump in. So if you can afford it at today's rate, it's better always to buy when you're ready. But I think you're going to see a pretty decent influx of buyers and sellers. I just don't think you're going to see this craziness that we did.
I agree.
In that. And that's going to be tough for the market to understand. So anyway, you've got a show in 10 minutes. So thank you for letting me do
Absolutely.
this.
It's our pleasure. It's welcome back. You were on fire today. You crushed it.
It was the extra cup of coffee.
You did A++. Keith Smith's back. Keith Smith's back. Keith Smith is back. He is back in the saddle on Friday at 10:15 a.m. with Real Talk with Keith Smith with two experts, Scott Morris and John Ralston. You want to mark that on your calendar right now, folks, if you're thinking about buying and selling real estate, or if you're in this game we call real estate. Friday at 10:15 a.m.
Yeah, everybody loves what you and I do, but in 2026, I'm going to be working on bringing some more people in. Maybe we'll have him for half the show, and then you and I can argue about something.
I love it. I love it. He is back. Judah Wickhauer is behind the camera. A quick turnaround here as the I Love CVille show is up at 12:30 p.m. with a lot of content to cover, including a BOV story from the Washington Post over the weekend that is making some serious news cycle momentum. Judah Wickhauer, Keith Smith, Jerry Miller, Real Talk with Keith Smith, archived online at realtalkwithkeithsmith.com. I Love CVille show, 10 minutes. So long, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you.